Hello people, this is Ryder here to review the Ultraman Trigger DX G.U.T.S Hyper Key Premium EX Selection. Yes, they listened. They finally are properly concluding the Hyper Key line. So, if you don't recall, I'll actually hold it back. So, as you can tell from the name EX Selection, you don't know. But as you can see from the front, we have Dinah and Decker. Because this set is basically finally commemorating Dinah's 25th anniversary. Because they already celebrated Tiga's and Gaia's. And obviously Decker is here just because he was the current running series. And also just because Decker is a sequel to Trigger. So we still have the Trigger logo here. I kind of wished it had both Trigger and Decker, but yeah. So manual and just QR codes down here. Sadly, this box is just like the Gaia one, where it's just a box. There's no outer sleeve. This is not an outer sleeve. The warnings and cautions, and here we have Zero with the ultimate Zero mantle. Just to round out this set. And obviously this set is actually the longest one because we have a stellar lineup right here. So our 7 hyper keys of this set comprise of Decker Flash type, Zero Ultimate Zero Mantle, or the Zero Mantle, the Ultra Zero Mantle I think is called Dinah Flash type, Nexus Enfants, Max, Mebius, and Trigger and Zed. So, putting these keys to the side, like so, we'll take a look at Decker, which this one was like, whoa, coming through, because it's just like, it just made sense for Decker to have his own hyper key, especially with the connections with Trigger and such. And interestingly enough, the base of this is, the base is really interesting. They decided to go with purple with Decker, which I think does work and such. As you can see right here, here is Decker Flash type, and again that stained glass art design. And then he is actually U-41. Now you might be wondering, how the heck did we already get to the 40s? Well, wait and see. This one is B021 and such. And comparing him with Trigger, you can easily tell they're actually 2 different shades of purple, which is really neat. I think his shade of purple is closer to Gamma Futures, but all my other sets are in storage, so I only have the DX ones. But it's just really nice to have, I guess, to technically start the line with Trigger and then to end it with Decker. Obviously, at this point, just because of the nature of the hyper keys, it is possible to get more just because they make their own sounds and such. So, Decker, I'll say this, Decker, Zero, and Dinah are a trio of hyper keys, as these 3 comprise of the Ultra Monster mode. Obviously, the Flash type announcements carried over from Dinah's, so that'll mean when we hold it down, we immediately get sound mode. I won't go over sound mode as much. I'll probably only go through it fully, or not even fully. Like transformation wise, we'll only go through them fully with half of them. So here's Decker's. So there's Decker's transformation, but with the voice of the G.U.T.S hyper key, or the G.U.T.S Spark ones, which is pretty cool. And then obviously we have our technically 2 attacks. So I assume that's the Soljin Coulson. And then obviously the color timer. Which actually is different from Dyna's. Again, like I said before, his third mode is the Ultra Monster mode.
Ultra Monsters!
To which I think it's a selection of 12 kaijus. I assume a bunch of Deckers are the Sphere kaijus. This is definitely more than 12. Obviously, we have Hanajiro 2 as our first one, which helps. So that's it for Decker. Now, with Zero. So obviously, Zero and Dyna are interesting entries because of the fact they were part of the first Gashapon wave. So obviously the huge difference now is that obviously this actually feels like a DX Hyperkey, unlike this. And the biggest difference between these two Zeros is that this one's doing the Miriam, or the wide zero shot. No, this one's doing the Miriam Coulson. This one's the wide zero shot. But I feel like it's the other way around though. But yeah, obviously they're both actually different art pieces. But other than that, it's just this body now in a DX body, which is pretty cool. Because now this one is B024, like how it was before. And yeah, and obviously the sound quality is improved.
Ultraman Zero!
If we were to compare it.
Ultraman Zero!
Because I think this one we're going to have to...
Ultraman Zero!
This one's a lot more delayed and such. But, I mean, again, it's not that bad. Because it's like, you know, the quality of... These ones weren't that bad either. It's just that, obviously, to retain that quality, they had to lower the volume.
Sound mode!
So, again, we only go through the, like... color timer.
Ultra Monsters!
Zero's Ultra Monster selection is pretty interesting. Yeah, so I assume his Ultra Monster selection are the kaijus he fought in the Ultra Kaiju fight. I keep forgetting the movie, but the like, you know, the Dai Kaiju battle thing. And also, I forgot to point this out. These two actually carry the same numbering, so they're both U-15, which is pretty interesting. I don't remember the case with Augo Supreme, because I think Augo Supreme shared the same number as just Augo. But here is Dyna. again, just like his Gashbon counterpart. I think they might have changed the shade of blue a bit, unless that's just my lighting. But again, this one's basically like pretty straightforward in comparison and such. It's still U-14. It's still B02023. And overall, it's just slightly higher quality.
Ultraman Dyna, Flash type. Ultraman Dyna, Flash type. Ultraman Dyna, Flash type.
So, yeah. Obviously, I'm gonna go over this later, but it's like they're not exact one-to-one, which makes them unique. Again, we will just do the grunts and the color timer. Also, I forgot to do this in the demo, but I feel just because they're different. But here's a comparison between Decker and Dyna, just for those that want it. And then his Ultra Monster mode.
Ultra Monsters.
So I'm pretty sure that's Hanajiro. The ones here break up. I feel like we've heard that one. Is that one supposed to be Death Facer? I was going to say Terra Phaser. And then we're back to Hanajiro. So that's it for the Ultra Monster trio. Now we're moving on to the latter half of this set. The rest of the Heisei Ultramen. So, here we have Nexus Anfans, or Anthans, to which I like this one a lot. It's kind of like Orb, where they decided to go with the silver. Well, it really works really well. He is U-38, because these three, or technically four, are continuing off of the Ultra Brothers and such, which is pretty cool. He is B022, and sound-wise, now Nexus, Max, and Meduse go off of what the New Generation and Gaia and Algo did, where they actually do have BGM tracks. So when I hold it down, you get the Evo Thruster, and this is the BGM mode. Again, I did say we were going to do half, so. So this is Nexus's BGM track. Obviously very iconic. Grind. Obviously color time. Next up we have Max, to which he is U-39, and I really like this yellow base they gave him. Excuse me. I feel like Max is the only Ultra that's actually appropriate to be yellow, just because of the gold he has, because I feel like Titus was like fine, and then 7 was weird, but I feel like Max just works with yellow. So he is B029.
Ultraman Max.
I don't know if that sound's supposed to be the Max Spark. It's definitely a new sound.
Ground mode.
This is his BGM track. Obviously, very traditional ultra or color timer.
Hyper key mode.
Second to last one. Here we have Mebius finally, because you don't know Mebius and Mebius, Hikari, and Orb Spacium Zaperion were originally Chinese exclusive hyperkeys and such. So to finally have Mebius here is really cool. And he, instead of being labeled as EX, he is now U-40, which I feel like is really cool. And just overall, like, him being red just really works out and such. B027. And the sounds.
Ultraman Mebius.
Mebius brace for the BGM mode.
Ground mode.
So again, I'll play his sounds.
Ultraman Mebius.
This is his BGM track, but as you can tell, as I speak over it, it's gonna end. So as you can hear from here, Mebius has the shortest BGM track from all the hyperkeys, but there's actually a reason why, and it's really cool. And his color timer.
Hyper key mode.
Last but not least, here it is finally, what was supposed to be our campaign item for the Gut Spark Lens is finally, again, just like Mebius, what was previously a Chinese exclusive, the Trigger and Z hyperkey. Now, they specifically labeled this one. Is there a contents? Like a list of contents on this? Yeah. There is. This one they specifically label it as the special version because of the fact this is a translucent body and all glittery and such. Because obviously the original one, if you don't recall from the Trigger and Zero key, it's just a solid like color. So like obviously the original one was gold. But because of the fact, you know, they never released it here, and I guess to still make that release valid, they just made this one translucent. So again, as you can see from the sticker here, this one's labeled EX. Here we have Trigger Multi-Type and Z Original. Again, just like the Trigger and Zero key. And this one is B100. So again, this one doesn't have any sounds, but it's just nice for them to finally have this key out. Like, I get, in a way, this is basically their way of just having some representation of Trigger and obviously trying to shove Zet into a set. Which, yeah, this is valid and such. Like, honestly, any way to, like, get this key is just, like, I like that they just released it this way, even if it's not consistent. Or even if it's not just a straight-up release. I appreciate it a lot. So let's use these hyperkeys within the Spark Lens. So obviously we will start with Decker, to which I think this could have happened in this show.
Ultraman Decker. Blast type.
Obviously these things are not going to cooperate because you just have to struggle through, which is really annoying because I don't know, like there. As you can hear there, they made him re-record the Soulgen into like a more like, I don't know, like mundane tone, which I think is weird, but oh well. Here's the hyper gun, and then transformation. We will actually have to let this one play out. So yes, just like what they did with 7, Leo, and 80, and Gaia and Ogle. Oh no, Gaia and Ogle makes sense. But I'm bringing up 7, Leo, and 80 specifically because those were hyper keys that had the Ultra Monster mode. However, they still had the host calling them out, or like they had the host's voice in it. So they did the same thing with Decker, which I think it's cool. It's still cool. They're still trying to bring up that initiative of like that immersion of like, what if this host actually used the Gut Spark Lens? Again, going off of what Haruki did in Zet. It's still really cool that they're carrying that over. It just sucks that like Decker's not consistent with the new generation, but like I still appreciate that. And there's multiple layers to this, to which I'll get to later. But obviously, we still have our standard attacks. This will emit a purple LED. So I think Decker has 12 sounds? So now we've summoned the dual sword. That was 9 sounds, because obviously that last sound is him flying. And obviously, when you hold down the button, you get the color timer, which allows you to overlap the sounds. So yeah. So again, I will do this in the in the spark lens mode, because I think I need to establish this, because there's multiple layers of when you actually let Kanata speak at certain points. And I forgot that this can be a chore to do, so like you basically have to kind of slowly put it in, but like not too slowly, like just so that it will actually read. So like, for example, if I press it when he shouts, like after here, so it'll automatically jump to him saying Decker. I should have just done that, but however, if I actually press it on him, whatever, we would do this. So there's multiple layers to this. So if I were to, like, obviously you can press it immediately. Like, it would just skip Kanata's voice, because obviously it would just be the D flash or standby. But if I, like, press it when he just says Kayake Flash, as you can tell, like, it actually, like, knows where you're gonna, when you press it. It's such... I think the core one, however, is when you actually press it when he shouts Decker. As you can tell, the standby stops and actually transitions and such, which is just... This is the same, like, this literally has the same specification as the trigger sets, which is really cool. That's why I really like this key a lot. But, anyways, we would jump to 0.
Ultraman Zero.
If it actually wants to go in.
Wide Zero.
So this one, they actually changed it, because originally, obviously, 0 was originally...
Enerium.
that. So, they actually changed it to wide 0. But the transformation process is still, like, obviously, it's similar. So he still carries the same standby. Whoops. Obviously, you have to press it for him to announce it. So obviously they changed the transformation here, so it's not just... They got rid of the trigger sounds, and obviously they added the, you know, sluggers going on his head, so... You know, take what you can get. I think 0 should have the same amount as Decker, so he should have like 9 sounds. He has 10 or 11. This is the only sound carried over, because obviously the other one has grunts, but yeah, and obviously you can do this too. If you want to see it with the rest, just watch the demo, because we have a lot of keys to cover. So Dyna.
Ultraman Dyna. Blast time.
Jeez, I hate it when it does that. Dyna's the closest to his Gashapon counterpart. Obviously, up until you actually transform. Because obviously now it actually has more of the reflasher sounds. Because at this point they did release the 25th version of the reflasher. Because obviously this was the original sound. Again, it had the sparkling sounds, which I kind of wish more hyper keys actually had, but sadly they don't. Again, I think he has the same amount of sounds as 0. Again, he has the light blue LED. I think I accidentally skipped that one. Yeah, definitely those two, like, these last three sounds are, like, the only ones they carried over from the Gashapon version. Because, again, there's the fight sound. Let me get... Was it this one? Yeah, and... Next up, I think we only... Did we just do the BGM modes for these ones right away? I don't remember. But...
Ultraman Nexus Alpha. Cross Ray.
So these ones are obviously new. Oh, so we got the Evo Thruster as a standby. And then... So again, we got the white LED, and these three are interesting because I think they, again, they have about, they still have 9 sounds, but they're 10, but they're kind of like sequenced weirdly. Like the first 8 sounds are fine because it's just grunt finisher, grunt finisher. It's where at this point, I think, it gets weird. So, you get a grunt, and then in the next press, you get the fight sound. So, like, it's weird. It's kind of it just seems like a way for them just to kind of even out the number, even though Decker has an uneven number of sounds, unless I miscounted, but it's weird for sure. Like, at least I'm not being nitpicky about the, like, selection of the finishers, just because I'm pretty sure, like, with Nexus and Enfants, I can't, and fans, I can't blame them for not being able to pick out much, because it's like he doesn't really fight in this form much. So, and obviously when we hold down, and then obviously we just, sometimes it doesn't want to cooperate, but yeah. Then Max.
Ultraman Max.
Mebius will be the only one who will actually showcase his BGM mode.
Maxium.
So there's the hyper gun. Again, he gets the yellow LED, and then the attacks. Also, I'll say this, Max has like a really long finisher, like somewhere here. that one. I'm gonna have to assume that one's the Max or the Max Galaxy. And maybe the second one was the Maximum Cannon. There he goes. And then... So, again, with Mebius, we'll actually just... We would do this in the Spark Lens mode and hold this down. Focus. If it actually wants to work. Wait, oh. We have to show the Hypergun mode. Okay, there. So again, we get the Mebius brace. That's the standby. So as you're gonna hear, this standby is gonna start, or this BGM track is gonna start, and then like you can still play with it as normal and such. But then it's like you're gonna be wondering, you're gonna be wondering for those that I guess haven't watched Mebius, myself included, but I assume this is part of the thing. You're gonna be wondering why the heck did they give Mebius such a short BGM track? Well, if you actually held the button down, you get the full one, which I think is cool. They actually split this one up into two, because obviously, typically, in both modes, this is the first like selection, I think. But obviously, you get the color timer after. So Mebius actually has a selection of 3 sounds that when you hold the button down, you get the first like junction. You get the first segment of his theme, and then you get the rest of it, which I think is really cool because you can tell which one is what. Because that one just comes in right away and such. Like, I think that's such a cool feature of them doing and such. But anyways, we will go through his finishers. Or his sounds. Obviously, he's red. I'm curious what this one is. Is it Burning Brave? Like, or the Mebius Dynamite? I think that's what it's called. That one's got to be the Mebium shoot. And there off he goes. So we were just switching back. Last but not least, Trigger and Zet. Alright. So this one has the generic sounds. Also until we transform. Also because it's a Z key, he will chant. So obviously here it's a yellow LED because it's gold, but then when we just go through the sounds, it's just the generic sounds. Unless, if you were to use this key in all the other spark lenses, so we still have Zet chanting, though it's a lot more cleaner. So this does the same thing as the original Gut Spark ones. However, obviously, this one's a lot more cooler because they actually, because again, like everything pre-programmed that's for Trigger is now Trigger Dark, which is just pretty cool. Jeez. However, I still think the Ancient Spark ones is the best in terms of pre-programmed hyper keys. Obviously, it's still just their transformations back to back. However, I don't know why it's this toy that way decides to do that, but it's still a cool feature. But obviously, this key is the only one we will show in all three devices, just because it's pre-programmed. But last but not least, circle arms. So Decker and did we do okay? We will do half of them. Again, well, I mean, we already showed half of these in their transformations, so we'll just do the other half. Well, you've seen these two already. Technically, Zero's is kind of the same. It's just obviously now he's just saying wide zero, so we'll just do the new ones. And then So yeah, I think I guess we might as well just show one of these.
Maximum suit up. Zero. Strike zero. Arrow strike.
I mean, I think it will actually be different if it's based off of wide zero, but
Multi-sword.
yeah, obviously if you want the rest, watch the demo. Just because, you know, we gotta cut back at some point. Excuse me. But, yeah. That's the essentials of this entire Hyperkey set. Our last, for now, Hyperkey set. I'm aware of the Memorial Edition of the Gut Spark ones. I don't want to bother with it because I'm already satisfied enough with this set. But just overall, this is such a nice round out way of concluding the Hyperkeys. Again, even though we're getting that Memorial Edition Gut Spark lens next year, that technically doesn't comprise of new keys. That's just technically there is one new key, but it's just through a sticker. But this set is just phenomenal. I don't know how much more I can really say that this set is just great, because there's a lot of reasons as to why this set is just good. Again, they finally gave us Decker, which is pretty neat. You can finally put him with your new generation keys. Again, like I said before, the only issue is that Decker sadly isn't consistent with the others, because the others actually had BGM modes. He doesn't. But I think in a way, the immersiveness wise, he's still solid. He's on par with Trigger's Hyperkeys and such. Again, they don't have the metallic sheen, because these are back to just, the standard sheen they were, that unlike the Trigger sets. But Decker is still pretty cool. Zero and Dyna, obviously, if you never picked up the Gashapon ones, I think it's more worthwhile to pick these up. Obviously, Zero, I think you can technically get away with just getting both of them, just so then you can actually have two iterations of him, because this one is still technically necessary, but I mean, you basically have it here. And I forgot to say this before, Dyna's DX version also was technically a Chinese exclusive, so it's really nice to have that in some form. Nexus, Max, and Mebius are really nice to finally have, because it was just really weird of them doing up to Cosmos and then jumping straight to Zero. So I'm glad they finally filled in these gaps, and again, especially Mebius, because Mebius was locked in China, and now he actually has a proper sticker or a proper art, because before they just took a stock photo of Mebius and just put it in this filter, and like I said before, he was labeled EX instead of an actual number. Obviously, technically what we have left out of China again is Hikari and Orb Spacium Zaperion. I think we're missing another one, but again, potentially. And again, Trigger and Zet, it's finally cool to actually have this key. It should have been the campaign item, but I don't know. They just didn't do a campaign item for Trigger. This is just a really good set overall. I don't know how I cannot recommend this, because it's just especially because for me personally, obviously, because I never picked up I mean, if this is actually coming out when it's supposed to be, obviously the only stuff of Decker I've picked up were the stuff from New Generation Stars. So I don't have anything technically proper of Decker that isn't these two dimension cards, but so it's just nice for me to have like a hyperkey representation of Decker, because honestly, this does a lot more than the D Flasher anyway. So it's just, it has a lot more and such. Obviously, it kind of sucks that like they couldn't do as much with Decker, or they couldn't treat Decker as like, they couldn't beef it up as much like with Trigger, because I think again, it would have been really cool if he had a BGM mode, just for consistency and just to really have that presence. But I mean, I think these two are probably my favorite within the Ultra monster modes, just because they're really short and simple, and I actually know where to begin. So I don't mind it here, honestly. And again, I just like how this set is divided. It's like we got the Ultra Monster Trio, we got the BGM Trio, and then like again, like Trigger and Zet is just like a nice like bonus. um, I don't know how much this set goes for in the aftermarket personally, because I got off of Collectibles for like, I don't know, I think they sold this for like $110, which I think makes sense because you're paying 13 per key. So it's like $82 at best. And obviously you have to pay for like upcharges from Collectibles and such. But I don't think they're holding this anymore, because again, this did get released in like July of 2023. But honestly though, like this is such a nice way to like close this line. This is honestly one of the best like ways of them to like close this line. Obviously, it would be cool if they actually continued this, but I don't know. I feel like the only way we would is when they actually do an ultra replica version, I guess, because it's just like, yes, like obviously it would be really cool, because like the thing is that they can still continue the numbering, so it's just like, I would obviously, Blazer would be cool as a hyper key, because I think it will definitely work like this. But because the thing is that the door is still there for them to continue doing hyper keys. Obviously, I would prefer for them just to be basic and such, so then they don't have to make claims like, well, we couldn't make Astra and Grigio into hyper keys because we don't have enough sounds. That's why the DX line exists, guys. But like, also, it's just so then like, it's just like, I just feel like, again, for like the way Ultraman approached its first like straight up like sound gimmick, I think they did a good job. They exploited it, definitely. They definitely exploited it a lot, but I mean, they did a good job at it. Like they do a good job at like improving for like after each release. And obviously, for the case of this one, it's just ending it with a huge bang. Because, yeah, that Gaia set's not, like, again, like what I said before, the Gaia set's not bad. It was just a weird way of concluding the line. And it kind of made sense for them to do another hyperkey set, because they already released a hyperkey during Decker. Which obviously that's going to be the sole hyperkey I'm not going to own, just because I'm not going to get the dual sword. And I want to stick with that. But other than that, like plus I got the sounds here and such. I don't know how much I can. Just, I think I've already said enough. The one last thing I forgot to say, it's kind of ironic for us to finally get a Max hyper key, because obviously the voice of the Guts Spark Lens and such was the English dub voice for Max in The Absolute Conspiracy. So I like that full circle kind of thing. But other than that, like, what else I blinked out. But yeah, like I'm more there's like I still technically need to get two more. No, I have one more hyper key to get, which is Cosmos, which is not fun, and I might get Decker's original key. Like that was a campaign promotion within China. That was the new hero sound, which you did hear. I think it was Ultra Hero. You did hear that, but that was technically Decker's first key. I might pick that one up. I'm glad I don't technically have to track this one down anymore. But yeah, I technically have 3 more hyper keys to cover, and just overall, oh, I remember. Like this is like this is like personally my most favorite premium Bandai item of the year. Like no doubt, just because this was the only premium Bandai release, or this is like the first premium Bandai release since like forever. I was actually genuinely excited for, because when I saw this on the timeline, I was like, because like you have to keep in mind they were like announcing King Ultra's toys at this point, but it's just like everyone is freaking out about like King Ultra, the mech, while like they just randomly the Ultraman account just randomly dropped this because this was a week before Decker's finale, I think. Maybe. And then like I was just like, shoot, like new hyperkey set, one that's actually fulfilling. Like it was like this is so great. Like this is like you're going to see maybe depending on when this gets released, you're going to see the second most anticipated premium Bandai item of the year. Honestly, there was only 2 anticipating premium Bandai items of the year because the other ones were just alright. I guess I had to get it. Like these were premium Bandai items. This one and the next one, the next Ultraman premium Bandai item. Those are like the most 2 exciting premium Bandai items of the year. And it's just unfortunate that we like Ryder and Sentai. Well, Sentai, it's more of like I'm glad they are doing premium Bandai stuff, but it's not really stuff that's like gravitating towards me. And like Ryder is just kind of like redundant about its premium Bandai-ness, so it's just like whatever. I'll take a new hyper key set and this thing. So yeah. This thing is gonna be like an hour, I guess. I don't know what's gonna be longer, the review or the demo. I'll have to do this review. This Ryder and all people buy.